Hello there, awesome people. If you have been wondering to release your project in 2025 and following the strategies of the older years, chances are the projects might not succeed. And for the same reason, we thought to bring out another webinar on the best strategies that you can use for the launch pads for your Web3 projects in 2025. So without any further ado, let's dive deep into it. And by the end of this webinar, we are also going to share some tricks about how token mines can help you take your projects out beyond, and it can get you all the eyeballs it needs. So before any further ado, let's dive deep into it. So let's first understand the evolving role of launchpads in 2025. So before 2025, launchpads was just simple where you come and you launch up your tokens and it's going to be out there in public. But they are just not any fundraising tool any longer because everything needs to be updated, and so have the launchpads. And what it now promises is now a gateway to ecosystem where investor networks and growth partners, they all come and connect. So basically it has now become a space where the valid investors, the valid growth partners come out and invest in a project. So when I say valid, it means that it comes with a good background check, and now it has been coming with certain things that the people who are getting part into the projects are legitimate, and they're not just anything which are more of a scammer side. And now it is also using governance onboarding to the liquidity planning, and they're using project leverage launchpads to drive momentum and not just raise capital. So I'm gonna dive deep into each one of these and try to make you understand what they really mean. So basically, launchpads now serve as entry points to broader blockchain ecosystems. So basically, they connect projects with investor networks, strategic partners, and early adopters to drive sustainable growth. By offering mentorship and advisory support, they help projects establish long-term viability and governance and liquidity. By this, they means that many launchpads now assist with decentralized governance onboarding, and it also helps in projects establish robust decision-making frameworks. So they are also providing structured token distribution strategies to ensure market stability and liquidity planning post the launch. Some even integrate with DAOs to encourage community driven development. And the last part, which means that it helps in momentum and market positioning, which means that the projects leverage launchpads to build momentum beyond fundraising, ensuring strong community engagement and ongoing market support. Launchpad help projects reach the right audience, secure early adopters, and build hype leading up to token launches. And in the end, we come to the point that what brings to the future of the launchpads, and it could be the AI powered due diligence launchpads, which means that the many launchpads are now using integrating AI to analyze projects for credibility and market potential before listing it out there. And then the most important part is obviously the multi-chain support, which means that now the launchpads are coming with more multi-chain support because the all the blockchains are going multi-chain, and people are more interested in the projects and launchpads which are visible across different chains. So and the launchpads are using the same things and they're integrating with multi-chain support in this. So now which brings us to the next question, that should launchpads be a part of your token strategy? And the obvious answer is yes. Now people think that it is now obsolete, the launchpads are just a fundraising tools, but as I explained earlier in the last slide, that they are no longer a fundraising tool in 2025. They serve as early distribution networks, which means that they help you reach out to the perfect and the most valuable investors, and then it creates a credibility layers and investor gateways, especially which is during the critical pre-launch phase. So basically the pre-launch phase is very critical, and it also decides even the fate of your project. If you are getting associated with a really good investors and credible names across the industries, then the possibility of the project getting success is going to be very high, the probability is going to go very very high. So for that reason, launchpads can be a extremely important gateway, and it should not be ignored, and they are still more valid because the reason for this is that launchpads are also evolving themselves, and they are also trying to become more and more advanced, and they are not keeping themselves as same old, they are developing themselves as well, and according to the need of the Web3 world. So what Launchpad offers is a pre-qualified investor base. uh, with this, it means that it is going to check the profile of the investors, if the investors is available across the industry, and if it is a valid investor or not, and then it's going to include their investors into their launchpad, so that when a project launches and if that investor is willing to invest it, then it gives a win-win situation to both the project and to the investors as well. And then there is KYC compliance and listing infrastructure, which means that the project has to go through several listing checklists, and they need to do a good KYC and AML compliance and checks to ensure that there is less scams and they are not included in the illicit activities, and the projects that are listing out there are really credible. And then comes a point is that the built-in credibility and project vetting, and the part is that exposure to cross-chain or vertical specific audiences, which means that the project is available across chain or not, and what kind of audiences it support. If it is having a vast number of audience where it can have a good eyeball, so for example, if a project is just available on, let's say, a chain which has a less number of user, and if it sees that if their project is available on a crossing, then the possibility of that project to succeed can be really high, unless until it is a niche project on that particular chain. So the exceptions may occur. And then comes the last part, which is the marketing and launch support services. That means that the if you're launching a project via Launchpad, it is also doing your inbuilt marketing, so it can tell when the sale is going live, and when the and what can be like, it is continuously going to create a support, and can also help the project to build a better marketing campaign on their own X and LinkedIn pages and etc., and Discord communities as well. So which brings to our next point, which is the how to select the ideal launchpad partners for your project. So the first thing is obviously to check the due diligence standard, which means check how thoroughly the launchpad vets listed projects, whether so you can try this with an analogy. If you want to check the eligibility of a launchpad, you can try to create a scam project and try to make it list out there, which very obvious features which can make it list as a scam. And if the launchpad is able to list it, then you can clearly see if the launchpad is really credible or not, and then you can go ahead and use your real launchpad, like real product, to launch on that launchpad or not. So it helps in the decision making, because if some launchpad is listing all the projects that they are getting, then they are not really credible anymore. And then comes a part which means that the community and engagement, to review the actual reach and activity across platform, in which the X, Discord, and Telegram are the most important communities out there into on the Web3. And if the launchpad is active there, and if they are having a good wide reach, then the possibility of credibility gives a very high. And then comes the participation requirements, which means to understand their takings, staking tires, lockup periods, and token access conditions. And then the part of tokenomics and fundraising review, so to check if the launchpad review your allocation fundraising model for alignment or not. And then is the security and transparency, which ensure all protocols, fraud protection, and clear communication channels. So with this, let's understand the top launchpads to consider in 2025. And with this, the first is Fjord Foundry, which is a decentralized platform offering transparent token sales through innovative models like liquidity bootstrapping pools, which is LVPs. So the key features of this is that it is permissionless sales, allowing any project to launch. It has a community-driven price discovery mechanism and a multi-chain support for broader accessibility. Then comes this second launchpad, which is a DAO maker, which is a launchpad enabling retail investors to participate in early stage token sales through structured fundraising models. Which is the key features of this is strong holder offerings for community engagement, comprehensive ecosystem support for project growth, and robust due diligence process for project selection. And the third is a CD5, which is a Web3 incubator and launchpad focusing on blockchain gaming, NFTs, and metaverse projects. So the key features of this is that it has launched 50 successful project launches across various niche, operates on multiple blockchain including Ethereum and BSC, and it offers staking and farming opportunities for participants. And the last launchpad that we want to recommend is the Communitas, which is a decentralized and community-driven launchpad offering a multi-chain ecosystem for project fundraising. The key features for this is support a wide range of blockchains for project launches. It implements a deflationary token model with revenue sharing mechanisms, and lastly, it provides various staking tiers with corresponding benefits. So now, how to get approved by these launchpads? So the most launchpads conduct strict vetting, and here's what they look like. So you need to provide a very clear tokenomics. That means that you need to show where all tokenomics are going, where all the tokens are going, what are the particulars, and what is the utility, how much is the vesting period, and if there are any staking rewards or something like that, then what is the staking rewards and what is the locking period, and etc. And then is the product readiness, that you also need to show the MVP or a working prototype, which is very necessary. And if it is not available, then the live demo is the best, or some GitHub repo, to ensure that your project is really really valid, and you're not just going to launch your token and just go run away from it. And then comes the legal and compliance preparedness, which means that you should be KYC and AML ready, and there should be a legal opinion letter or jurisdiction clarity. And then is a strong team and advisors, which means that if you have us advisors who have a proven track record, have a good public presence on LinkedIn, GitHub, X, and Telegram, and have created a good past projects, and if they have already been a participation of any earlier launch chains and stuff, then it also improves the credibility score of a project. And the last part is a community traction, which means that there should be real social engagement, and there should be organic growth on Telegram, X, and like the community should be less should be less infected with spammers and bots. So now comes the part that how to get approved by Launchpad. So the pro tip is apply early. Like for example, some platforms need 30 to 60 days lead time, and then tailor your pitch accordingly for a Launchpad's theme. So for example, if you want to launch on CD5, you should have a gaming project. If you are having a gaming project, it goes vice versa. Then CD5 is the best place, and if you have a AI project, then ChangeGPT can be a good place. And then always avoid over promising, which is always there, which means that the projects are rejected for unrealistic roadmaps or unclear token use. So if a project is saying that they are solving trilemma of blockchain, and it is not showing any valid reason behind it, then the possibility of that project getting rejected is going to be very very high. So, which brings to the last part, which means that the post launchpad growth, that launchpad is just the beginning, and successful projects plan for what comes next. So, now that you have launched your project, what to do next? So, the first thing could be investor retention. So, the people and the investors and advisors and angels who have invested during the launchpad launching, you should make sure that they are being there in your project for a long amount of time, and you should keep them engaged through mechanisms like staking, rewards, and governance. And then come the liquidity strategy, which means that manage token listings, market making partners, and slippage controls. And comes the ecosystem growth, which means that activate partner projects, dApp integrations, or token utilities. And for the leverage the launchpad network, which means that build from the launchpads community, cross promotions, and future co-launches. And you can use all of these strategies to ensure that once your project is out there live on the world, it is getting the expected growth, and it is performing at the very par. So if you want to get launchpad ready, we at the token mines, we also provide that. And if you don't want to get into all of these things, and if you want a team to handle all of this with experts on board, then you have reached a very right place. We help you in doing white paper creation, which can never be flagged by any launchpads. We help in creating a full tokenomics modeling and advisory. We have support for launchpad listing preparation and the community growth tactics. So if you want a complete package, we at Token Minds, we have an experts. We have years of expertise in doing that. And if you want for your project to be launchpad ready, just reach out to us, and we are going to take the discussion from there. Until then, if you want to stay keep engaged in the cutting edge webinar, stay tuned, because every week we come out with a cutting edge webinar. So until then, bye bye, and see you again.